Hi everyone. Today I want to share with you a challenge I was recently faced with at the office, in Excel of course. What I had was a table with a list of names which repeated sporadically and which were occasionally associated with some sort of comments or text in a preceding associated column. Similar to what we have here with a list of student names, a list of courses that they've taken. Sometimes there is a blank course name here, and sometimes the same course is listed more than once for each student, whether or not it's at a different date. You can pretty much ignore the date attended column for now. That will probably have to be in another video, how to as a nuance to what we're trying to do here. Anyway, the challenge that I was faced with was starting with a table like this one here. The customer wanted me to create a secondary table where each name is only listed once and all of the associated course names or the distinct text associated with them is recorded in the next cell altogether. And if I did a poor job explaining that here is basically what I'm talking about. Student name is listed once, and each distinct course name is listed in a single cell. Just to be fancy, I threw in a pound symbol in between each one. But one thing you'll notice is that these are listed in alphabetical order, and even though the table I have here isn't, or regardless of what date was actually associated with each one of these courses. And also, again, the fact that these are only listing distinct names in here. So if your boss wants you to be recording the same comment or text multiple times, that is going to be an added challenge that I'll have to address in a later video. You could try the fact that Excel does have a limitation to how long a string of text can be within a single cell. I believe it's somewhere around 253-ish, I believe, if I'm remembering it correctly. Which, just to picture that in your head, that's about 3 to 4 sentences or about a paragraph. So fair amount, but it is still a limitation nonetheless. Okay, so how do we go ahead and create a table like this without, going through a monotonous manual process? I'm going to show you like a dynamic concatenation of text. Okay, the first thing we need to do in order to create a table like this, distinct names for distinct students, we're going to select our table, go to Pivot Tables, Existing, and we're going to put it in the same spreadsheet, starting with E, in the upper right corner. We're going to have name first, and there we already have the distinct student names, which can be convenient. And then right under that, we're going to put the class. And every time you have a student with a blank field here, the pivot table is going to, by default, still record it as blank. So here's blank, Lazy Boy was a blank only, and Pat was a blank, and probably, nope, Sue didn't have any. And from here, we're going to go to Design, and we're going to make some modifications. I don't want subtotals. I don't want grand totals. I want to show this data in tabular form. So that just put them separate there and in line, as opposed to like this, where there's a separate row for each there. And I also want the parent's name to be repeating several times. And I also want to insert a blank line after each item. Okay, so I have a lot of needs. I'm sorry. The next step is I want to get rid of these blanks here. So I'm going to go to the drop-down window under Classes, go to Blank, uncheck it, When you first do this, you might not naturally have all these boxes here. Make sure that you have, there might be a box that says check multiple items. But there we go. Now we are here, we are conveniently listing all of the distinct course names with each associated student. But one thing that's interesting from this aspect, let's look at Jill here, who has 4 distinct courses to her name, versus Dave, who has 5 distinct courses from his to his name. So you might naturally assume that Dave is taking more classes than Jill. But if we go ahead and throw in classes into the values window here, you'll notice that Jill is actually taking law twice. And if you add all these together, 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1, that's 5. And Dave is only taking each one of his courses once. And so actually, Dave and Jill are taking the same number of classes, just Dave has a greater variety of classes, I guess you could say. But as far as we're concerned, we only care about the variety for this particular situation. Might not be your case. If not, I'm still working on the best way to figure out non-distinct listing. But whatever. From here, what we need is to, once again, create another pivot table that just lists the distinct student names. Okay. All right. And what we're going to use this table to form the basis of what's going to be there. The first thing we need to know is how many distinct courses is each student taking. And after creating this, we could look at this and count it ourselves. But if you have thousands of students, that will take forever. Let's make Excel do it. And it's easy. Just use a COUNTIF function. The range that we're looking into is everything in the pivot table. And before hitting comma, I'm going to hit F4 and lock all of these references here. You don't have to. That's just the quickest way to do it. And for the criteria, it's going to be whatever's in this cell, not locked. 5. So that's right. Okay, there we go. And there we can see Dave with his 5 distinct courses and Jill with only her 4, but of course we know that Jill is actually taking 5 courses in all. Okay, so that's our COUNTIF result. Next is the fun part. Next is the actual concatenation. Concatenate. And I just might need help with this. And to your guys' benefit, I went ahead and did this already and took a screenshot, but I still want to work through it so you can catch the pattern that's going on here, because you might have a different resulting number. Oh, before I go on, what we need to know is what is the max number listed here? 5. Okay. That is going to tell us when we can stop writing this formula. So what we start off with is if the student is taking 0 distinct courses, then we're going to say they are too lazy. Okay, and the fact that I'm hard coding this instead of referencing a cell means I have to write it out but put whatever I want it to print out in double quotation marks. Okay, just a side note. But if they aren't taking 0 distinct course names, then we are going to have to move on. Okay, and we start off with an offset. So this means if they're not taking 0, then logically they must be taking more than 0, because you can't take less than 0. Then there must be an answer to the question, what is, starting from F5, the top of our first pivot table, second column. I'm going to lock that in place. Starting from here, find me the first row. So that's going to be the match between, find this student's name in this array, which will just go many rows down. You can be more exact if you want. I'm going to lock that array in place, and we need it to be an exact match. Okay, so starting from this row, how many rows down do I have to go before I'm in the row that has this student's name? So it's kind of obvious for the first one, but it gets, Dave here is in 12, but that's because Bob had 5 different courses in a space. Okay, whatever. The offset continues. How many columns over do we want to go? 0, because we're starting in this column, and that's the column that lists the text that we're trying to print out. Okay, we don't care about height and width. Okay, this is where I have to pause for a moment. So we want to, so it's going to say from here go down 1, but we need to backtrack it. So from here it says go down 1 or something like that. Come on. Okay, I'll do it up here. This, as you can see in my picture, I'm starting in E5 here. There, so that makes sense. So the match is going to start up here. So when we ask it how many rows down from here, it's going to be off a little bit. So we are minusing 1 from whatever the match function thinks how far we should go. Okay. And so after it lists the first row, then we might want it to give us the second. But we don't know, because if they only have 1 distinct course, then we want it to stop. So again, we have to shoot another if statement. If J6, we need to double check, equals 1. If it equals 1, then we're done here. So we're going to do double quotes, and it'll stop reading the rest of this formula. But if it doesn't equal 1, then it must equal 0, because we already figured out it doesn't equal 0. And now we know it's more than 1. So maybe it's 2. If it's 2, then we need to separate what we just printed out with a space, whatever character you want, another space and double quotes, and then after that we are going to use that offset function again. Equals offset. So lock it in place at F5, and we want to go down whatever match says. Lookup value is still Bob, but not locked in place. Lookup array is this again. The match type needs to be exact. But whereas before we took that number and subtracted 1, now we're going to take it as is, but we still want to not move over any columns. So if you want, you could also do +0 or -0, but effectively we're adding 0. And then we will close it. By not putting anything after this for columns, it's assuming this is 0, but to keep it the same as what we see here, just leave it. It's fine. Okay, so I think we're here. So we just have to keep doing this formula. And here, get rid of that 1, see if J6 is a 2. And if it is a 2, then we're going to do this, except take that match result and add 1. Okay? And if J6 isn't 2, then what if it's 3? Then we want to take that match result and add 2. But what if J6 is 4? Then we're going to take the match result and add 3. And if the match result is instead 5, then we want to take, if J6 is 5, then we want to add 4. Okay? Now, this is where this number comes important. So we know the largest number that J6, or anything in J, basically, could be is 5 right now. So we could stop here. But you could just as easily keep going. In this case, we can stop here because we've done the what the value in J is 5, which happens to be the largest number of distinct course names in our particular example here. Okay, so we can stop. We have our closing parenthesis of the if statement, and but actually, as it turns out, we have a lot of open-ended if statements right now, so we need to close all of them, and we can know when we're done once we get to the black closed parenthesis. That means that's the last one. So here's the open, here's the close. So it's actually a pretty long if statement here, but not very complicated because, as you have noticed, it's pretty much repeating this line over and over with only 2 adjustments each time. The only annoying thing is if in your situation you have a lot of courses per student, then this is going to take a little while, but it's not necessarily very much more complicated. You're just doing the same thing, and it's a little monotonous. But still, it's better than doing everything manually and leaving the results to human error. Ta-da! There you go. And from here, we locked everything in place and unlocked everything that shouldn't be locked, and so we get this result. As you can see, when you're dealing with a pivot table, by default, it's going to list everything in alphabetical order. And when you have multiple things listed in the row labels, it's going to do the parent label first in alphabetical order, and then from there, this in alphabetical order. And I haven't looked at our table thoroughly enough to tell you, but what's not being contemplated in what order these are being listed, and as a result, what order they're listed here, is what order these courses actually occurred via looking at the attendance date, or in what order they originally were listed in this base table here. In order to get that level of detail will take a little bit more work and has some logical issues with it that I'll probably have to go into in more detail in a future video. So there you go. You have your table. All you have to do is copy, and your boss probably doesn't want to see that hugely complicated formula, so make sure to copy and paste some values, and you'll have all of your rows listed nicely. And from there, they can search for particular courses and sort and filter and everything you need to do there. All right. Well, I'm going to stop for now. This is just an introduction to the logic on how to do a very specific task with a very specific set of criteria. In my next video, I'll probably try to show you how we can list the courses in the order that they occurred, either in the table, the base table, or based off of the date attended. And then in another video, I'll probably try to show you a couple different ways that we could tried to do something where we can indicate and actually repeat the same course name multiple times. If that is what you need to do, it's going to be difficult because I believe it's going to be difficult because I believe our workhorse here has been the pivot table, which by default is going to want to limit the number of rows to distinct rows based off of what we put under row labels. I might be wrong. I'm going to investigate it. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned to my other videos. Like, subscribe, leave comments, questions. I will post this Excel spreadsheet to my OneDrive so people can download it if they had trouble following along. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for more videos either on this topic, or I have a bunch of other ones I've been meaning to get to. Stay tuned. Bye.